Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Well, this being the last month of the Jewish calendar year, the month of Elul, it is of course time for introspection, for tshuva, tefillah, tzedakah, for repentance, for prayer, and for actively embracing acts of kindness toward those who need our support. The shofar resounded. Traditional Jews immerse themselves in the reading of Psalms every single day. And we individually begin a cheshbon hanefesh, an accounting as to how we have conducted ourselves during the year now ending. In Kabbalistic lore, creation, which is celebrated on Rosh Hashanah, began with God withdrawing all supernal light so that pure vacuum, absolute emptiness emerges. And then God emanates a thin stream of light back into the emptiness. And with that light, the material world, our cosmos, is created. Surely there was no time or gravity or any of that stuff before the emergence of our cosmos. But I would like to believe that in some ways, during these last days before the birthday of the world, Rosh Hashanah, that we are precisely at that point when the primordial light is swept away, allowing us to hope that we will not be trapped by all that was. That with Rosh Hashanah 5784, there will be a new space, an unblemished space, a place without wounds and without scars, within which we can reawaken our souls and energize our dreams to build a world worthy of our being the children of God. Okay, our Sedra is Ki Taytzay, Deuteronomy 21:10 and following. Moses is feeling the pressure of time. Remember, Deuteronomy, last few days of his life. So much to teach, so little time left for him to complete his mission in life. Our Sedra has no narrative thread. Amazing. There are no stories here. Nothing new about the wilderness wandering, just a collection of unrelated pericopes. So what's a pericope when it comes to Bible study? Rabbi Google states, quote, "A pericope is a section of text that, if removed from the writing, could be recognized as a tradition that could stand on its own. The randomness of a collection of pericopes is rather startling. This is what we find in the Sedra. If a soldier falls in love with a military captive, if you have two wives and love one wife more than the other, if you have a son who is wayward and defiant, if a man puts on women's clothing, if you come upon a bird's nest and the mother is sitting on her fledglings or eggs, when you are completing your harvest, don't go back a second time, and don't cheat with weights and measures. There are many more. A Sedra filled with pericopes. Each of the pericopes is relatively short, some even just one sentence. Each teaches a concern that is foundational to biblical ethics. None is inconsequential. And obviously, later on, each becomes the focus of serious conversation in the rabbinic literature. And by the way, each of the pericopes somehow managed to speak with a clear voice about today. So here's a pericope. So you have an ample harvest, bringing in the sheaves of grain and feeling certain that the market will smile upon what you bring for sale. As your crew completes its work, you look back and notice that there were places when all the grain was gathered. You have the crew go back and finish the job, right? No, wrong, not at all. You are not to go back in this pericope. Rather, you are to welcome to your fields the fatherless, the widow, the stranger, and allow them to complete the harvest so as to meet their own physical needs. That's a beautiful gem in an unadorned setting. Here's what it says, you have every right to profit from your labors, even as you still have an obligation to sustain the needy in your midst, and to do so in a manner that shows them respect. Let them eat what their own hands harvest. A pericope. You shall not muzzle an ox when it is threshing. That's exciting, right? Let's go out and take care of that tomorrow. What's this all about? The animal is harnessed to a structure around which the animal walks round and round, treading the corn. It's threshing. Of course, the animal would want to eat. So don't restrain that natural impulse. Be kind to that animal. From the words of Genesis on, we are told to be stewards of the earth. The task of the steward is to look after the property of the land owner. Animals are a part of creation, and as stewards we are obligated, put it in the right terms, it is a mitzvah to show kindness and concern for animals. Another pericope touching upon the same subject tells us that if we are out gathering fledglings or eggs from a nest, drive the mother bird away first. Don't let her see the destruction of her family, because we should struggle to show concern for all living things, even if some of those living things will ultimately become a source of our sustenance. Some rabbis teach that this pericope, the mother in the nest, is the least of all the mitzvot, but the reward fulfilling it is nevertheless substantial. There are pericopes here dealing with family and sexual relationships. One harkens back to Sarah, Hagar, Rachel, Leah. We are warned about the dangers of favoring one wife over another. Favoritism can rip a family apart. Another pericope issues the most severe of penalties against rape, especially the rape of a minor. Another condemns adultery. Another lays out the framework for divorce, one after the other. I'll tell you, as I reviewed what I have written so far, I began to wonder whether my evaluation of this Sedra and its pericopes is actually wrong, flawed. I called these pericopes unrelated. But what seems to be holding our Sedra together is a very clear indication that it is never going to be enough if we just individually and personally act in a moral fashion. That's necessary, but it's not sufficient. Morality, obviously, an individual thing, one-on-one morality, but it is also a powerfully societal thing as well. Our collective acts must serve together to build a moral society, a moral community, a moral family, a moral workplace. It matters not only that we observe the ritual commandment, but it matters just as much that we treat our laborers with concern, that we show compassion for our cattle, that we build a moral core to our families in which respect and mutual concern reign. Protect the powerless. View other people as every much B'Tselem Elohim, in the divine image, as we are. Treat our environment and our animals with the steely concern of a true steward. Brick by brick, the foundation of the Jewish world view emerges from our text. May we prove worthy of the texts we have been given. Shabbat Shalom. See you next week.